What's going on, guys? Turner here with a new podcast episode. I had my dad on here a while back as my first episode, but got a lot more newer questions that he didn't get, so I'm just going to do it for Anchor. So, Dad, we'll just start out with your background again real quick. Just talk about that a little bit, like how you got into basketball.
So I know you'd asked me before, like how I got into coaching and things like that, but it all starts with being a player. You know, I wanted to be an NBA player from, probably from second or third grade all the way through middle school. And it was probably about my freshman year when I realized I was good enough to play college basketball if I wanted to at the right level, but I was not going to be in the NBA, so I needed to decide what I wanted to do after that. And, that was to be a coach. I didn't know what level. Obviously, I looked up to my high school coach a lot, Coach Jury at Anderson County. And, I didn't know where that was going to lead and things, but I know I wanted to play as long as I could, and that meant small college basketball. So I started looking at avenues that I could possibly play, and Asbury ended up being the place that I played college basketball, and obviously now I'm the head coach.
What athletes did you look up to growing up?
Growing up, I was a huge Kentucky basketball fan. Rex Chapman was a huge impact on me as a player from the state of Kentucky who stayed in state and played for the Cats. He was a guy who got up. He played above the rim. He shot a lot of threes. It was something that we thought that we could accomplish and be that type of player, yet we didn't know he was gifted with so many attributes and the ability to play above the rim that not a lot of people are. So I had to get my shooting ability more like his than more like his jumping ability.
After your playing days, when did you have the idea that you wanted to head coach?
Well, it was probably my freshman year in high school, to be honest with you. So everything was set up to me playing as long as I could, and then after college, trying to get into the coaching world. The thing was, so we played our last game at Gardner-Webb University in the NCAA. That was the National Christian College Athletic Association National Tournament, and we got beat out. We did not get beat out. It was double elimination. So after we had gotten beat, we won our next two games. So I actually won my last college basketball game, and so we pack up. We're on our way home, and my head coach calls me up to the front. It's like, Will, what are you going to do next year? If you're going to be around, would you love to help me? Would you be interested in helping me out? And obviously, I was like, of course. And so I was like an unpaid assistant at the time. And about a month later, the assistant coach that was being paid left. So all of a sudden, I was in a paid assistant's job within a month after I got out of our season. So, it played out well for me. And I was assistant for 4 years. After that, and at that time, I was the only assistant. So, I got a lot of good experience from that, and I've got a lot of good stories from that. And I was the JV coach at the time, and so it was really good for me.
With y'all, Asbury, going NCAA in Division III, and I think today, as of recording, the NCAA has changed the rule with money, image and likeness. Do you think it's been long overdue, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I'm a guy that grew up in the Fab Five era, and that was the first I could really see about it, was that during the Fab Five, which was the Michigan, Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, Jimmy King, Jalen Rose, Ray Jackson, and that was when I was in middle school. Well, we were all about the Fab Five. I mean, we were trying to get anything we could, shorts. That's when the long shorts came in. That's when the Huaraches came in. That's when the Air Max, the Air Force Max came in. Black socks, things like that. The thing is, though, I was looking at that stuff, and we were looking at it as fans, like trying to get our hands on this stuff. Meanwhile, they were never getting anything from that, which I did not know until later. So the fact that they're still making money off of the Fab Five stuff from our era, and the guys never got anything off of that during that time. Another thing is being a Kentucky fan. Jamal Mashburn was during my time as a Kentucky basketball fan. We all wanted to wear our shirts like Jamal Mashburn. We wanted to wear our uniforms like Jamal Mashburn. We wanted a 24 jersey. We wanted the shorts. And Mashburn never got anything off of it. He was on a poster where he was smashing a basketball with his bare hands, and it was, quote, Monster Mash for Kentucky. And we were like, everybody bought the poster, everybody, but Mash got nothing off of that. So yes, I think they do deserve that as far as the promoting and marketing of it.
Do you have a favorite moment playing basketball?
I had a big game my senior year where I hit 11 threes, and that meant a lot to me because, that's something up until that point, I'd hit, in high school I hit 7 threes in a game, early in college I hit 8, and then I'd hit 9, and then to hit 11 was huge for me. But I will say in the Christian College National Tournament, we were down 3 at the end of regulation, and I pump faked a guy, and it would have been my last college game if we'd lost, but I pump faked a guy, got him off his feet, jumped into him, and got the 3 free throws, and I hit all 3, and I finished with 29, and we won, and we get to stay another day and play. That's probably my best memory. We also beat conference rival Indiana Southeast on the last second shot my senior year, and that's a huge one for me as well.
You have a favorite moment coaching?
Probably the defining moment early was my second year at Asbury, which was the 2009-2010 season. I'm pretty sure. So Mount Vernon Nazarene is a perennial NAIA powerhouse. Asbury was an up-and-coming team that was like trying to make some noise. So we got invited to their homecoming, which you know what that means. It typically means they're going to pay you amount of money to come in and play them, and they're counting on you losing. Well, I had a pretty decent team that year, but we were still very young. We were good enough to pull off some upsets, but not quite good enough to sustain it a lot of times. So we played in front of a Mount Vernon Nazarene, in front of a big time crowd, and Philip Morrison, who played professionally in the Philippines, it was his second year with me, and he hit about a 25-footer at the buzzer to win the game against Mount Vernon. And that's like the moment where I'm like, well, this is more than an upset. We can build on this. And we got a check for the game, and we won. And that's a moment I remember. Now there's some other ones that are very special to me, but that was like the first one.
So you talked about Phil a little bit, and now you got Trenton playing overseas, and possibly Lander probably playing overseas. How do you develop these guys into trying to be their best after Asbury?
Well, the thing is that we do here is it's a freedom that we give them on offense. They gotta make sure they play defense on the other end. We really stress that, but the freedom we give them on offense allows them to expand their game. So when we're working them out, probably if we do a 45-minute workout, we'll do 30 minutes on what they do well and refine that. The last 15 minutes will probably be something that they want to be better at. Let's say it's a big guy that wants to be able to step outside and shoot. Well, that last 15 minutes we'll spend on that and expand that. So Leander's was more of a being able to be a go-to guy, which he wasn't at the NCAA Division II level. So Leander Ridgway, who played for us, was a transfer from Lee University, and he was more of a role player at Lee and more of a more of a go-to guy for us. He had to be. He was more of a almost 17 points a game, 8.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists. So, he had to make sure he had the ball in his hands a lot. So we focused on that. Trenton Thompson was more of a post guy in high school, and we knew for him to be the best he could, he had to be able to post and step out and shoot the three. So what did we focus on? The pick and pop, the handling of the ball, things like that would be able to let him see more of the floor.
What do you look for whenever you look for guards and bigs?
Toughness. Are they willing to be coached? Are they willing to overcome tough situations? Can they overcome a bad shooting night and still impact the game? As a post guy, can you play with fouls? How do you impact the game? Are you going to be a good teammate? Can you take advantage of a mismatch? Can you read the defense? And can you help your team make a run, as well as be able to step up and be a defensive player to stop the run on the other end? And I just look for more voice on the floor more than anything.
Do you have a favorite moment watching the sport not as a coach or a player?
It's not really a favorite moment, but it's a memorable moment. I was watching the 1992 NCAA Division I championships when Christian Laettner hit the shot against Kentucky, Duke versus Kentucky, 1992. Me and my dad were up watching that game, and Kentucky was one of those teams that had come from being on probation, and Rick Pitino came in and got Mashburn, and then you had the four Kentucky players plus Sean Woods being from Indiana, and they stayed with the program. They didn't transfer. They went through probation years, and that was a culmination of them playing. I mean, that was almost a perfect game played, and I was 11 years old, getting ready to be 12 years old, and just crying after that because, we thought we didn't have a chance against Duke. That was when Duke was rolling, but then to see the shot, and then the years after to see it, people talk about it. But I watched every second of that game, and really when Mashburn fouled out, it was a time where I was like, uh-oh. And then Sean Woods hit the last second shot, what we thought was the last shot, and Christian Laettner ended up just breaking our heart. So that's a memorable moment, not necessarily a favorable moment, but I remember it well.
Who are some of your favorite players to watch in any level nowadays?
Nowadays, I like Luka Doncic. But he's the reason I like to watch him is not necessarily because of his game. I love to watch his game. I love to watch him make shots. I love to watch him, make passes and things. Thread the needle with his assists. But the fact that he looks like he is enjoying playing the game is what makes me really appreciate him. There's some different. I'm more towards shooters. Steph Curry. On another note, like Buddy Hield, I like watching him. Get loose in games. I like watching. And the former Kentucky players. Julius Randle had a good year this year. I appreciated watching him. On a lesser note, I keep up with like John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins and people like that. I just, I follow those guys mainly these days. There's some other players I used to watch back in the day that, defined probably who I am as a coach and what I look for in players.
So you grew up around the time of Michael Jordan, and age to see LeBron play. What do you think about the debate between them two?
I think you can appreciate both of them. I think both of them were very, LeBron's currently, great in his era, as Jordan was great in his era. It's hard for me to pick one because I'm very biased because I grew up more in the Jordan era, and as I was developing my basketball skill and love for the game, Jordan was there every day. I also had WGN was a network that showed only Chicago sports, and we had that station at my house, so you could watch the Cubs, the Bears, and the Bulls. So I saw a lot of Bulls games, and I fell in love with the introductions, the just watching Jordan, be so smooth with it. They're so different. He was so smooth and fluent, yet LeBron is kind of like a bull in a china shop. He's more rugged. So I'm not taking anything away from either of them. I appreciate and respect both their games, but I'm telling you, if I'll take a stand on it. If I'm drafting a team, I draft Jordan first before LeBron. That's my take.
With you being a coach, I feel like I know this answer, but do you still see the use for the traditional big man? Compared to stretch big.
Yeah, there's got to be some stop. You got to stop the bleeding, and you got to when I say that, you got to stop the bleeding. When the other team's going on a run and they're hitting and they're cooking a little bit, you got to go inside. Now that means that you got to throw it inside. Does that mean the traditional big man? I don't know. You got to have a guy with his back to the basket, be able to make a move and kind of neutralize the run there. You can keep going at him with the dribble drive and driving at him, trying to neutralize it. But really throwing it inside and getting a quick bucket on the inside can kind of stop the bleeding, because people try to, when their run's going on, they try to beat threes with threes, and it never that never works out. So yes, I do like the big guy. Now the fact is, more people now are setting the high ball screen, so the big guy has got to step out and be able to hedge the ball screen and get back, or even switching the ball screen. So now the big guy's got to guard a guy like Steph Curry if you switch the ball screen, or James Harden. So it may not be a guy like I'm seeing like Dikembe Mutombo, Patrick Ewing, Akeem Olajuwon. They're not going to be able to guard a guy like that. So you got to make sure that in practice you get them ready to do that. Best of both worlds. You got Akeem Olajuwon on the block, yet you got a guy that can step out and make the switch and guard a guard.
Do you want to see any changes to any level of basketball?
Yes, 4-pointer. I want a 4-pointer. That's what they said. Antoine Walker, they asked him in his, with the Celtics, why are you, why do you shoot so many threes? You're 6'8". Why do you shoot so many threes? You could go inside. You can get, and he said, he told the reporter, he said, well, the reason I shoot so many 3-pointers is because there's no 4-pointers. And I thought that was like, yeah, let's scoot us back. Let's roll the dice. Let's do some 4-pointers. I think guys are shooting so far behind the line now that it might not be a bad deal to play around with. Maybe with All-Star games, or maybe with preseason action. Maybe just play around with it.
If you're a 5-star player, are you picking a college, or are you picking one of these leagues like the Overtime League, the G League, or anything like that?
I'm going college. I think the rah-rah of the college, plus I'm a college basketball coach, being on campus, being here in the college bands, the college, the crowd, the student sections, the pet, sections, the stuff like that gets me pumped up. Yeah, if you're going a more business route, you shouldn't go the other, but there's memories to be made, and you can make them at the the NCAA Division I college level and the NCAA tournament or the NIT or whatever. But, that's history to be made right there.
What do you think about the leagues that are starting to form?
I think it's an avenue if guys don't want to go to school. I think it's an option, which is good because there used to be no option. Either you go to the NCAA, or if you're not a qualifier, you go to junior college. But what if you don't want to go to school? If you don't want to go to school, if you never want to take another class again, these are options for you. It may not be the best route. Depends on your agent, I'm sure. But, it is another option besides having to take classes.
I'm out of questions. Do you have any closing remarks you want to talk about?
No, this has been such a transition with our interview from before, and you've really grown in your questions, and I love the level I'm at. I think sometimes coaches get caught up in their resumes with wanting to push, just like players. They want to push to be at the highest level they can possibly be at and succeed. Well, you know what? Don't mess with happy. If you are happy at the level you're at, which is now with us being NCAA Division III, I'm very happy. It's my alma mater. I love coaching there. I'm going to get to coach my son in the future. And, so, find the spot where you can do what you love and be happy. And that goes for playing and coaching.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks for coming on again.
You're welcome anytime.
All right.